Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. It's Allan Laboucan with the Rocks and Stocks News Show. Today, it's going to be another my in the news. I've got a few companies to talk about. First, I'll talk about the big news, which is the Federal Reserve has decided to raise their interest rates by only 0.25%. And this is following on a trend, a couple meetings now where they went from 0.75% moves to 0.5%, now 0.25%, and it looks like they've only got a couple more 0.25% moves in the next two meetings, and then they'll probably stop raising interest rates. They do maintain that they don't see that they will be lowering interest rates this year. But I think with the way they're breaking things in the housing market and many other key economic markets, they're breaking things, and they're going to have to lower interest rates going into the second half of the year. They maintain that they're not, but they also maintain that inflation was transitory. And after transitory, it was very troublesome, and they had to aggressively raise interest rates to try to slow things down. And I believe they will, but they'll overshoot and do it too much. Okay, so let's take a look at the US dollar action. As you can see here, it's been on a very significant downtrend. And then today, after the Federal Reserve meeting, as you can see in the 5-minute chart, it just got pummeled. And this is a trend that I think is well on its way to going much lower than where it is right now. And consequently, gold had a much better day. As you can see, it's been on an equally as strong trend as the rate that the US dollar has been falling off a cliff. And as you can see here, after the Federal Reserve meeting, boom, it took off. And ultimately, these trends that we're seeing in gold here with the golden cross in early January, trading aggressively above the 50-day and the 200-day moving average, had a spectacular January effect, which I think is predictive of the year ahead is going to be problematic for the US dollar and very bullish for gold and silver. Here's the silver price. It's also been on a tremendous run. Went through a golden cross here. Let's see what the daily action on silver was. Silver up 2.4% on the 5-minute. There you can see it blasted off after the Federal Reserve and has stayed strong. Going back to this longer term trend here, as you can see, it ended the year in a golden cross, has had I wouldn't say as bullish of a January effect as the price of gold, because it's been kind of going sideways, but ultimately it follows the direction of the price of gold. And with gold in a strong bull trend, I think silver is going higher this year as well. Copper also doing well. As you can see here, golden cross, an excellent January effect. And let's see what happened on the daily for copper. There's the 5-minute again, right in lockstep with the US dollar getting pummeled, copper going up, and the trends are in very good shape. So I can see that our trends, that the main market movers, what happens to the US dollar when it's in a bearish trend like it is, it's very good for the metals prices. Here you can see the trend. It's fallen off a cliff. The 50-day moving average has gone through aggressively through the 200-day moving average. Both the 200-day moving average and the 50-day look like they're heading into a very bearish situation. And by contrast, we see what we're seeing in copper, gold, and other commodities that are priced in the US dollar. Now, when the gold price was getting pummeled here, for a lot of 2022, the gold stocks and the other mining stocks, metal stocks were under a lot of pressure, and they were beaten down to levels that were back in the year 2000. They're back to those kind of levels, which were historically low valuations. And so they're coming off historically low valuations, and a lot of the gold stocks and other metal stocks are significantly outperforming the movement in the price of the metals. And I think that's a trend that will continue in 2023 as well, because the metal stocks were so beaten down. As the metals prices get stronger, I think they'll significantly outperform when you can find the quality. So now I'm going to talk about some companies that had news out today. This was news from Walker River Resources. They announced drilling from the Laboucan Canyon to extend the hotspot zone. They hit 1.65 grams per ton of gold over 97.6 meters. So that gives it a metal factor, if you do the gram meters, by over 150, which is, you know, pretty good indicator of a large ore body. And they also had included in that was 26.95 grams per ton of gold over 3 meters from a depth of 57.9 meters. They've got a lot of high grade gold in the system, but they've also got wide distribution of the lower grade. But even in the lower grade, if you were to open pit that or bulk underground mine it, it's significantly higher than what open pits are being mined at by a factor of double or more. So this is a Laboucan Canyon. The Laboucan Mountain is a very large mineralizing system. It's got widespread gold distribution throughout this big mountain, 500 or 600 meters from side to side, about 850 meters from top to bottom. And I'm going to just stop share here for a second, and I'm going to bring up my trusty Google Earth, and I'm going to go to Laboucan Canyon because this gives you a better idea. The gold distribution is like all the way from here to here, side to side, and from the top of the mountain all the way down to the bottom. I keep looking at this as quite interesting to me because you can see some faults here that are converging down into this big fault here and a large area of alteration. I like this area a lot, but I like the potential for the whole mountain from here to here and from up here all the way down to the bottom, because it's got the faulting, which is your conduit for the fluids to make their way up, lots of alteration, and I just think they've got a very big system here at Laboucan Mountain. I don't know if I had my Google Earth on properly there. Sorry. Let me do that again. Here we go. All righty. So there's your Laboucan Mountain. You've got gold distribution. These roads were what they used for drilling. Gold distribution throughout from side to side for about 500 meters. From top to bottom, about 850 meters. You got key structures converging down here, and there's a large alteration zone here. Lots of alteration throughout this mountain. Pretty good corridor here in between these two faults. When it all comes down to it, this is a very large gold mineralizing system. And figuring it out is what they're doing with their drilling. And I like their chances of having a lot of gold there. So let's go back to the Walker River news release. So this was the drilling from the Laboucan Canyon, the Laboucan Mountain that I just showed you. But there's another, they drilled what they're calls the Pikes Peak exploration target. There was no previously reported drill holes on this target. So they were going in there with a brand new 3 or 4 hole program to try to figure out what is there. They think that this is the porphyry that is likely the heat engine for what caused the mineralization over on Laboucan Mountain. And they got some pretty darn good numbers here. PT 2201 returned 0.946 grams per ton gold over 10.6 meters from 96 to 107. And most notably, the final 4.5 meters returned 1.5 grams, with the final assay at the bottom returning 1.93 grams per ton over 1.5 meters at 170 meters down. So to go in there with a fresh target, never been drilled, you're really trying to learn what the mineralization is all about. And to get those kind of gold kicks is a heck of a good start for that target. So now they've got, 2 key targets right beside each other. One at the Pikes Peak exploration, where they did do a significant amount of surface sampling there and did get good mineralization that suggested to them that there's a porphyry there. But now it looks like they know that they've drilled into that porphyry, and now that will help them focus their future drilling on that porphyry. And then at Laboucan Mountain, they've got all this widespread gold mineralization to keep chasing down the system to understand how it is in 3 dimensions on a grander scale, as well as focus in on the high grade continuity, because there's high grade all over this mountain. Okay, so the next company I'm going to talk about is a company that it's the first time I'll be talking about them. Let me pull the company up here. It's a company called Emergent Metals. Emergent Metals had news out, and the news was, let me pull it up here. Emergent Metals hits visible gold in initial drilling. Emergent Metals hits a visible gold in initial drill holes at its Tricasson property in Quebec. So they're doing a 4,000 meter program that's underway. They give you some of the details about the angles of the holes that they're drilling. But here's what caught my attention. As you can see, there's visible gold in this core. And when you can see visible gold in the core on the outside of the core, usually you've got good stuff inside the core. Here's some more of the visible gold. And they note that historical exploration of property dates to 1925. There was recent exploration done by Nick Exploration, 2 drill programs, one in 2011 and one in 2017. That drilling had some good numbers in it, 10.55 grams per ton of gold over 1.2 meters, 33 grams per ton over 1.5 meters, 13.65 over 1.45. So they're into something that looks pretty interesting here. Their president and CEO, David Watkinson, stated, and I quote, "Nick noted the presence of visible gold in selected core samples during their historical drill programs, and we are also seeing visible gold in our initial drilling. We look forward to continuing the drill program and receiving assays. Once they are available, we will provide additional details on the drilling at that time." Let me see here. There was this project's in Quebec, and yeah, when I see visible gold in the drill core, usually catches my attention. And I'll be doing more homework on Emergent Metals and see if I can get their management on for one of the shows where we do the interviews. Yeah, it's in Quebec, one of the best jurisdictions in the world. It's in the Abitibi region of Quebec, which is an excellent place to be looking because there's been lots of gold produced there, and they've got their hands on something that looks quite interesting. So Emergent Metals is a first time I've ever mentioned this company on a show. All right, the next company is Summa Silver. Summa Silver drills 16.6 meters of 45 grams silver equivalent, including 9.9 meters of 640 grams silver equivalent in step-out drilling at the Mogollon, New Mexico project. As you can see, here's the key highlights: 16.6, 444 grams of silver equivalent. That included 3 grams per ton of gold and 207 grams per ton of silver. This silver number alone can make for a mineable, a profitable mining situation. So to get the gold kicker in there as well is pretty nice. 9.9 meters, 640 grams per ton silver equivalent, 4.26 grams per ton gold, 306 grams per ton silver, 17.8 meters at 339. And you can see in all of these holes, there's a nice mix between the silver and the gold. They said that their drilling is focused on expansion around the historic consolidated mine, continues to intersect strong mineralization, where hole 08 is an 80-meter step out. Hole 10 is a 50-meter step out. Hole 11 is a 65-meter step out from previous drilling. This mineralized zone remains open in multiple directions with strong silver gold assays for return from holes at both ends of the current drilling pattern. Drilling continues with 3 rigs now in full operation until the end of February, testing the consolidated extension target over an area of 500 meters along strike by 350 meters up and down dip. So you're getting a pretty good size, especially when you're talking about those grades. Work is just beginning at the project, with this first target representing only 1% of the total vein and structure strike length present at the project. Galen McNamara, the CEO, stated 10 of 11 holes drilled by the company at Mogollon have now intersected strongly mineralized zones of silver and gold. Our best holes also compare favorably to drill results from our more advanced peers exploring and developing deposits in some of the most prolific silver mining districts globally. With a view towards building a long-term presence in the area, we look forward to continuing to explore in this special part of New Mexico. So what they're making reference to there is that they, if you look at, I live in Mexico, so I know what makes up for silver mines. There's a lot of silver mines here in Mexico, and they're getting the kind of grades that just on their own silver would make for very profitable mines down here. So, and then they got the gold kicker in there as well. So it's a very interesting program. The focus on the ongoing 3-rig drill program is testing extensions of mineralization around the consolidated mine, centered on the north trending Queen vein. Assay results from the reported holes continue to demonstrate the high-grade nature of the Queen vein. And there you've got the look at some of these highlights: 1,200 grams of silver equivalent over 2.1 meters, 2 meters of 2,000 grams. And that's at the bottom of the hole too. So it's a very interesting project that has caught my attention a couple times, but this is the first time I think it's the first time. I might have talked about their results once before, but the next step will be to try to get them on an interview, because I like what I see there. Let me just bring up their stock chart while I'm here. There it is, Summa share stock chart, Summa Silver. Let's see how the stock chart's looking on that one. Yeah, surprising. It's I didn't really move a lot off of that. I do see that the 50-day and the 200-day are about to go into a golden cross here. And that wouldn't surprise me based on these results. I really like what I see. It's been trending upwards for the last little while. And yeah, it looks like they're headed towards a golden cross. All righty. So there you go. That's a few companies in the news. And the big news is the big market mover that is the price of the US dollar, which the metals are inverted from that. So when the US dollar is going down like it has been, the price of commodities, metals, gold, silver, copper, they go the opposite direction. And the Federal Reserve is fueling those trends quite nicely. So I think they've got a lot higher to go in 2023. Alrighty. So as always, it's important for you to do your homework, speak with your financial advisors before making any investment decisions. And I always stress, do that homework. It helps you become a more informed investor. More informed investors make less emotional trades and more profitable trades. And on that note, have a great day and we'll talk to you soon.